Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are making chocolate cake, guys, and it is absolutely delicious. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, we have some flour. This is all-purpose flour that I'm using, and we're just putting it into a sieve along with a few other ingredients: cocoa powder, baking powder, and baking soda. This is not my recipe. I will be linking the recipe that I used as a foundation down below. So make sure that you go there and you check it out for the exact measurements here. So guys, here I am. I'm actually just leveling out a cup of cocoa powder. And cocoa powder is not that easy to deal with. It's not as easy as like sugar and all-purpose flour. So you just want to start it out with using a spoon and then spooning it into the measuring cup. And then, like I do when I'm measuring out my flour, I get my the backside of a butter knife and I tap it just to make sure that all of the holes are filled, and then I level it off and then I dump it in. So I think this recipe calls for a cup and a half. And what I am showing here is that this cocoa powder says that it is 8 ounces, which is a cup. Do not just dump the entire thing in as a cup, because there's more than a cup in that when you measure it out. I'm pretty sure it's saying 8 ounces that's packed really, really tightly, and we are not packing the actual cocoa powder that tight. So here I'm just adding some kosher salt, and now that all of the ingredients are in the sieve, we're just going to shake it out and loosen it out and make sure that everything has gone through that sieve. At the end, you'll have big pieces of kosher salt if you're using kosher salt like myself, and you just want to dump that in at the end, and then just get a whisk and give it another swirl just to make sure that that cocoa powder and that all-purpose flour is mixed properly. Now we're moving over to the big boy. We're moving over to the stand mixer, and in this recipe it did not use a stand mixer, and for me, I just am not comfortable doing that, so I had to change things a little bit here in this recipe. So I am creaming my butter, not my butter, my oil and my sugar together. There's not a lot of oil in this recipe, so it won't be as creamy as maybe a typical recipe is, or the recipes that I'm at least using, that I'm used to using for cooking cakes. So as soon as I added the oil and the sugar together, shortly after I started to add my eggs, because there just isn't that much to cream together without the eggs. So you want to add 2 eggs at a time, beat it for a little while, then add the other 2 eggs, and then beat it for a while. And you want to stop it, scrape the sides, and then let it beat for like a minute to a minute and a half, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be really light and almost white color and really fluffy, and that's what you're going for. Now we're going to do our dry and our wet ingredients. I like to do my dry ingredients in 3 parts, my wet ingredients in 2 parts. So you'll see me alternate here. I'm using my dry ingredients, and then I'm going to put half of my liquid, and this is just buttermilk and some vanilla flavoring. And then I'm going to go back in with another third of my my dry ingredients, and then the rest of my wet, and then I'm going to end with my dry ingredients. Now this is a little tight. This mixture is not really wet at this point, but this is what you're looking for. It's going to be really chocolatey. Whew, boy, that was hard for me to get out. Now the last ingredient that I'm adding is some warm coffee. Lord have mercy, I can't even talk. Some warm coffee, and I'm just going to stir that in and then whisk it in before I pour it into my 2 9-inch pans. Now you can break this up and do it in 3 9-inch pans, which I probably will do the next time I make it, just so my cake isn't as thick as it was when this turned out at the end. You guys will see. So you just want to even it out as much as possible. You can get a scale and do this if you're like an exact person, but for me, I'm able just to eyeball it, and that works for me. I'm not a stickler like that. Now that the 2 pans are poured up, you want to go ahead and stick it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees, and you want to make sure that you stick it in the middle of the oven. So once the cakes go in, as you can see here, they're in the middle of my oven. That tastes real good. Now, after the cakes are completely done cooking, you want to just pull them out and let them cool completely in their pan, just in a nice cool place. Now, while it's cooling, you can go ahead and get started on the frosting. And I did use the frosting recipe that is linked down below with this actual cake recipe. And so you're starting off again with cocoa powder. Do the same steps for measuring that out and just shake it through a sieve. You're going to use some butter, and you're also going to use some cream cheese in this recipe. And the butter and the cream cheese is what you saw me creaming together initially. Now we are just dumping in the cocoa powder and then actually dumping in the powdered sugar. Now guys, this is really, really messy, and this is really, really tight. So you're really going to have to like play with it. You can't just follow this direction. You can't follow this recipe to the point that it says, because you're going to have to loosen this up to your desired. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to work with the frosting on the cake. So I did add heavy cream, milk, water, whatever you have. You just want to add that until it is spreadable. As you can see here, it's very, very easy for me to spread. So now let's get to covering this cake with this icing. I've just put in the layer in the middle. I've added my second layer of cake, and as you can see, guys, these things are dense, these things are thick, but it is really, really moist, so don't let it fool you. Now, in a little piping bag, I'm just filling in the corners where the two cakes are sitting on top of each other, just so that it makes easy icing and there's no gaps that I have to fill in later. Now I'm just going to speed things up, and I'm going to show you guys me covering the cake all the way to the point where we cut it. Now the cake is fully covered. Now we just have to smooth things out. I have like a dough scraper that I'm using, and we're just going to go all the way around the circumference of this cake and take off the excess icing, just so that it is nice and clean. And guys, you don't have to do this if you don't have it. If you just want to use a spoon or use your spatula just to make like irrational designs all around the cake, that is completely fine. Do you, and do what's comfortable for you. So guys, basically that's it. That is me making the cake and me icing the cake. This was really, really fun. For those of you that don't know, I love to bake. That's another thing that I got from my grandmother, and I just absolutely love this. Now here is this moist and delicious chocolatey cake that is perfect for any occasion. It can be as formal as you need it to be for, weddings and things, or as informal as having a nice chocolate cake on your table every Sunday if you like to serve to your family. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And also let me know what other desserts I can make for you guys on Sundays to share with your family. Until the next time, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.